everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Adoptions from the Heart TV. I'm your host, Amanda Aliberti. Today we are really excited because we are going to be sitting down with Carli, who is an adoptee through Adoptions from the Heart. She is 24 years old, African American, and was placed for adoption as an infant, and she was actually placed transracially. So she is going to talk a little bit about her experience growing up and tell us about her story. So now let's turn to Carli. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. So Carli, can you maybe start by just saying the dynamics of your family, the racial backgrounds, if you have any siblings?
Sure. So my family is kind of like a melting pot of a lot of different backgrounds, honestly, because I was adopted by two white parents, and then I have two siblings. I have an older sister who is Hispanic, and then a younger brother who is actually my half brother. So we have the same mom, different fathers. So he's all actually mixed, and he is part Hispanic as well. So we've got a lot of different, types of people in our house, which is really cool. I like that. It makes us interesting, I feel like.
And how would you describe the environment that you grew up in? Was it diverse? What were the racial backgrounds predominantly of the people around you?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is that the people around me, there wasn't a lot of diversity because I grew up in central Pennsylvania. So in terms of what the main racial background was of the people that surrounded me is mostly white. And so there wasn't really a ton of diversity where I grew up in my schools or social circles. So I didn't really have too much, I didn't have too many, close friends that looked like me. Maybe a few that I could count on one hand. So not a ton, but the majority of the people I was surrounded by were white.
Do you recall a moment in your life when you recognized or realized that the color of your skin was different than maybe your parents or the people around you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it started, early enough that I can remember. It was kind of a negative experience. There was a child at my school who told me that I couldn't do a certain thing because I had brown skin. And that was like first grade. And I remember her saying that to me, and I was like, I don't really, I hadn't thought about that before. And then I took it as like, oh, this must be serious. I guess there's certain things that I can't do because of the way that I look. And so I remember that time in first grade, being little and realizing I do look different than the other kids at my school, but I didn't think that was a bad thing. I didn't think that was something that I should be upset about. But that was the first time that it dawned on me, people noticed that I look different. And it was just coming from up here at school. So I knew that I was different from that, but then also in other ways, my parents also raised me to be, very proud of the way that I look, and, raised me to read books about other children who are African American and other Black kids. And so I also understood that there was something special about it too, just because of the way that my parents instilled that within us. So.
We talk a lot about racial mirrors and having people around you that, you can compare yourself to or look up to. Do you feel like you were provided those growing up?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, even just, in terms of, representation in the things that I was reading, celebrating adoption days, my parents were also, they weren't afraid to talk about the fact that we were adopted and talk about who I came from, blood related to. And so, they were very, they didn't shy away from talking about my background as a Black girl, and giving me books that had other Black girls in it, and dolls that were Black and not white, and blonde, so I think that they did a really good job of making sure that I was aware, in a celebratory way, if that makes sense.
I know that there's been continued conversations about transracial adoption and how that connects to the Black Lives Matter movement and what's been going on with our social climate and just, everything happening on the news within our society. What is your reaction to that? Do you feel like your parents have well educated you with these conversations?
Yeah, I think that my parents have completely raised us to be aware of the fact that there are going to be people out there who look at us differently because of our skin color and because of our background. You know, they were not afraid to say that to us. They had to teach my brother what to do if he gets pulled over, how to do it in a way that is non-confrontational, you know, having to face the facts of this is going to be different for you as a Black man, as a Black young man. And so, you know, I was raised to understand that, but however, I feel like I wasn't really exposed to the intensity of it and the frustration of it until like the past few years, honestly. Like when I first went to college, I started learning more about it. And then, you know, obviously over the past few months, you know, all of us have been going through having to deal with, you know, seeing all of these murders that are happening and police brutality and crime against Black people. And I think that that's been the biggest wake-up call for me. So I didn't really grow up like knowing everything that I know right now. But I was aware that there are things that happen in this world that are like that. But I think as of lately, it's hit me especially hard. And I've kind of just had to learn from just being surrounded by it and being here in the city where it's more diverse and there's a lot more, you know, protesting, and there were a lot of riots here. And so like seeing it head on, I think is the way that I was most educated about it. But my parents did raise me to understand that things are going to be different for us, unfortunately.
And then finally, I want to conclude by giving you a moment to just put your voice out there. I think Adoptions from the Heart is trying to do our due diligence in providing a platform for Black voices to be heard within the adoption community. And my question to you is, do you feel like there's anything that we can be doing better, or just continuing to be proactive within this discussion? Like any of your viewpoints or something that you want to add to this discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think you kind of have already touched on it of, you know, you guys are working to kind of highlight Black voices and make sure that they're at the forefront. And I think that as much as there may be some people who don't really find it necessary to be highlighting Black voices right now, or seeing that it makes it unequal, it puts Black people up here and then everyone else is down here. Really, the main goal at this point is to highlight Black voices, because those are the people that are, you know, that are not being treated well, the people that are being forgotten, and the people that are being hurt. And so just to really emphasize, you know, highlighting Black people's voices and their stories, making sure that they are at the forefront before anything else, because I think it's the personal stories from Black people and people of color that really help to put things into perspective best, as opposed to like articles and statistics. I really think that shared stories make things very personal and they hit closer to home. So, you know, I think just exactly what you said that you guys are doing is highlighting Black voices and asking them about their stories, and just kind of letting them feel confident to share and comfortable to share. I think that's the best thing to be doing right now. So.
Well, you seem like such a well-rounded person, and it sounds like you have had and continue to have a great life with your family, and just your experience with adoption. So just to kind of end on the note that you just said, thank you for sharing your personal story and being willing to put yourself out there, because I think that we're just trying to continue with this awareness and spreading more education about people's experience, particularly with transracial adoption. So thank you so much, and we are hopeful that this will help other people out there.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I loved it.
Tune in next week, guys, as we continue these conversations about race within the adoption community.